All right, so hello everyone, and a very good evening, good morning, and a good day to everyone, to all of you who have joined in for today's exciting live session. So let's see some enthusiasm in the chat, guys. If you guys can hear me, see me, and I'm looking good, so go ahead and write down in the comment section so we know that you guys here and you guys are all ready for today's session. So, well, thank you so much for joining in for today's session, and today is the second session of the series of live sessions which we are conducting with all the judges of the Space Science Challenge. And this time we have with us Mr. Thomas Peev, who is currently an Attitude Control Systems subsystem engineer at Maxar Technologies with a master's degree in Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering from the University of California. He is a space engineer involved in enabling space technologies for a new class of space missions. His areas of expertise include attitude control, propulsion and thermal fluid systems, instrument development, extreme environment engineering, and in situ resource utilization. And Mr. Thomas Peave is our judge for the space robotics category. So, guys, if you want to interact with Mr. Thomas Peave, well, this is a chance. And also, you go ahead and get a chance to interact with him during the grand finale as well. So that is Mr. Thomas Peeve, and thank you so much for agreeing for this live session and going ahead and explaining or giving insights into the realm of space robotics to all our participants of the Space Science Challenge.
Of course. Thank you for this kind introduction, and I'm very happy and honored to be here. Hello to everybody in the world. For me, it's good morning, but good afternoon, good evening, good night to everyone else. Yeah, my name is Thomas, and I work at Maxar for 2 years now, and I do some exciting stuff, and I want to share a little bit more about that today.
Well, that, yes, and that is all what we are here for. So, well, let's get started with the live session. And well, the first question, or the very first thing which we have in our minds, or we want to ask you, is that do you love the space industry from your childhood, and how did you get your first inspiration to pursue the same? Basically, how was your journey into the space sector?
Yeah, so I loved space ever since I was little. I remember getting like a book gifted, like these small children's books about the planets, and I fell in love with it. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, that's amazing. But then I kind of forgot about it. I really wanted to become a firefighter. I really wanted to become a policeman. I really wanted to do all these things. I wasn't really paying attention to school anymore. And before I knew it, I started being in college, and I always knew, I'm going to stick to STEM. I'm going to stick to science engineering. And in college, over the summer, we were all looking for internships. And I was thinking to myself, okay, so I don't really know what I want to do, but if I can get into the most difficult place I can think of, then it'll look good on my resume. So I applied to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, and I applied, didn't get in. Applied again, didn't get in. And after 4 years and 5 applications, I got in. And I was like, oh, cool, I got excited. And then I went there, and that's when I really fell in love with space. And my degree was material science and engineering, but then I came back to college, was like, I'm changing all of this. I'm going to get my master's in aerospace. I'm going to do all space, space, space. So there was a little bit of a dip with the passion, but I'm right back at it.
Well, that was okay. That was an interesting journey through a computer science engineer, and now you're so established as an attitude control systems engineer, and that brings us to the next thought in our heads, and that is, so what is your role as an attitude controls subsystem systems engineer at Maxar Technologies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So attitude control systems or attitude control subsystems or ACS is the idea of knowing where your satellite is, where your spacecraft is, where you want it to be, how to get there, and then do it again and again and again and again. Right? That's the control law in it. And so that's what I deal with. That's what I work on as a systems engineer. Systems engineering is a lot of communicating and moderating. I work with all the other subsystems to make sure they get what they need from my subsystem. I want to make sure that I get what I need from them, and we put it all together, communicate, and I basically help the people who build the spacecraft, the machinists, the technicians, and the hardware engineers who know very much the components we work, to make sure that we're up to spec, up to date on everything. So my day to day is really a lot of emails, a lot of PowerPoints, but it involves real engineering, involves decision making, involves knowing what the subsystem looks like.
All right, perfect. So that is one. That is what is actually the meaning of your, or what exactly do you as a subsystem systems engineer at your Maxar Technology. So maybe you can go ahead and give a little more onto your how does your day at Maxar Technologies look like, and what do you exactly do, or what exactly does Maxar Technologies do? Maybe you can go ahead and give a little bit of insight into that as well.
Yes. So I will have slides prepared that will talk about everything that Maxa does, and I'll go into those. But what do I do on a day to day? What does my daily look like? A lot of meetings and working on challenges all the time. Sometimes it's day to day, like fires that have to be put out. Spacecraft satellite is in the assembly or it's in the vacuum chamber testing. Things don't work out, and people are very excited. Like, what should we do? So they email me, and I email back, or just have meetings. Sometimes I have a little bit more time to look into the future, do some R&D tasks, determine of what our spacecraft should look like in the future, so we can still be competitive and also, have new exciting technology. It's a little bit of everything, right? It's engineering. You never know what you're gonna get.
All right, so I think you have your slides prepared, and yeah,
I
there
do.
you go. You have your slides right there in front of you.
Thank you. So, again, my name is Thomas, and I want to talk a little bit about Maxar, this massive company that innovates capabilities that connect Earth and space. And there's going to be a lot of info in there. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. I'll maybe get to them, maybe I won't. I should point out that, actually, let me just go to the next slide. Maxar is a world-leading space technology and intelligence company, and we unlock the promise of space to help customers and solve problems on Earth and beyond. I work in the space technology field. There's a bunch about intelligence here, which I think is very exciting and useful, but I don't know too much about it, so bear with me. As a leader in space infrastructure and Earth intelligence, we at Maxar, we help our customers to detect, monitor, and analyze global change. We deliver broadband communications, and we advance space operations. And the way we do that is we explore space to the moon, Mars, and beyond, even with on-orbit assembly and servicing. We observe our changing planet from above. We connect communities to television, internet, radio, and services across the globe. We map to inform global transformations such as autonomous vehicles and 5G connectivity. We also monitor environmental change and human activity. We analyze global patterns, and we want to understand our past to inform the present and the future. And we act with confidence based on reliable insight. So that's what we do. Now we're done. Just kidding. I'll explain a little bit more. Maxar is an American company with a rich history. We've been around since the beginning of American space exploration. And over the years, you can see a bunch of companies have merged. So leaders in space manufacturing, satellite imagery, and geospatial analytics have all come together to make Maxar what it is today. So it is an American company, but our reach is global. We have more than 20 locations. We have customers in 70 different countries, and we work with everyone everywhere. So it's a large company. You'll find us everywhere. The headquarters is in Westminster, Colorado, which is like right in the center of the United States. It's close to Denver. But I am in Palo Alto, California, which is where a lot of the space manufacturing is happening. So that's why California, for me, is the place to be. You have probably seen Maxar satellite imagery or the maps derived from it, and you maybe didn't even know where it came from. We power consumer map applications, and we provide transparency into global events for media organizations. If you've ever ordered a rideshare car, maybe looked for like a trailhead or looked at Earth from above, there's a good chance that you were looking at some of our Maxar images. So next time you open up your preferred map app or look at something else that has to do with Earth, I challenge you, look at the bottom corner. Maybe you'll see that the image was provided from Maxar. It stuns me every single time to see where they all show up. We also partner with news to provide satellite imagery and analytics that can provide an objective view at events around the globe. Unfortunately, we're able to provide some insight into the events in Eastern Europe right now with that imagery. But it's been extremely helpful to inform the world on what's happening. All right, so here's a quick summary. I just love that slide because it just looks amazing of what we do, what Maxar does, what Max is capable of doing. And I'll explain those a little bit more later. But we build spacecraft, we build spacecraft subsystem, we build space robotics, we provide satellite access. We have geospatial foundation, which you will have access to as well as a customer. Precision mapping, on-demand intelligence, and geospatial service too. So a lot. Everything you could possibly do in space, we're doing right now. And we provide the most advanced Earth imaging constellation that we have right now. So we have 4 satellites currently in orbit that do that. GeoEye 1, Worldview 1, 2, and 3. And we collect more than 3 million square kilometers of Earth images every day, which comes out to be the size of Australia. So every day we take a picture about the size of Australia. And we build this huge database of it. But the next thing that we'll build, and here you can see an image of it, is Worldview Legion, which is going to be 6 satellites that are having an even more advanced capabilities and are going to be truly, truly awesome. I'll talk about this a little bit later. But we do a lot more than that on Earth. You know, Maxar Earth intelligence capabilities helps customers map, detect, and address, and even predict changes at unprecedented speed and scale. So we have massive data, around like 125 petabytes of data, and it grows every day by 3 million kilometers, as I said. And we combine the data with machine learning algorithms that can track what's happening on our planet and provide the foundation for data layers like road networks, building footprints, and even 3D models. So we also have a team of geospatial analysts and software developers that will answer specific questions to the areas of interest for customers. But we do a lot more than that also in space. So on the space side, we design, build, integrate, and test solutions for space-based communities, satellites, build a lot of them. Earth observation, exploration of Earth, or even some other objects beyond Earth. And we want to get into on-orbit servicing and assembly as well. So our broad spectrum of services includes mission systems engineering, which is part of what I do, product design, spacecraft manufacturing, assembly, integration, and testing. So in the world of satellites and spacecraft, we provide commercial communication spacecraft, commercial Earth observation spacecraft, and space exploration spacecraft. In the robotics realm, we build robotic components that are used for space exploration, and again, hoping to get into on-orbit assembly and servicing and maintenance. But we also have ground stations to communicate with all of these spacecraft. So Maxar, we serve dozens of commercial industries worldwide. You know, we help with the telecommunications and broadband connectivity for our customers, navigation, location-based services, infrastructure planning and development, remote monitoring, and risk mitigation. Anything that people have thought of you could use satellites for, we're doing it. And anything that people haven't thought of before, we want to do. We haven't gotten there yet, but maybe you'll give us some ideas. So let's talk about my favorite part, the part that I know most about, the space infrastructure, which is spacecraft building, satellite building. Maxar has been part of this for over 60 years. Since the days of Apollo moon landing, we've been involved in building satellites and enabling space missions. So looking at the stats, we have 285 spacecraft that have been built by us and have been launched. The combined years is 2,750 in orbit. 2,750 years. That's amazing every single time I see it. And there are currently over 80 communication satellites on orbit, operating, working, doing what they're supposed to do. And we have 2.4 billion people that rely on our broadcasting services, which is a third of the world. Not half, a third. A lot. It's a lot. It's 2.4 billion. It's a lot. So we're excited to provide these services. Here on the product offerings of space infrastructure. So what we built spacecraft, we build subsystems, and we build robotics. For the subsystems, we do fun things like solar arrays and solar electric propulsion. Solar electric propulsion sounds really cool. What it means is we have electric propulsion thrusters, and they just use solar energy. They use solar power. It's not like crazy solar sails. just crazy regular solar propulsion. And then in robotics, we're world leader for robotics in space, and we take great pride in that, and we want to continue doing it. We also work with NASA. We've been working with NASA for a long, long time, and we are excited that we are working with them right now. With the first thing that we're doing is we're part of the Lunar Gateway. We're providing the PPE, the power and propulsion element, which is going to be a huge chunk of spacecraft that has massive solar arrays and massive thrusters. You can see the image right there. And it will bring astronauts back to the moon sooner rather than later, I hope. And we are also exploring a new type of asteroid. So we've been working on building the spacecraft bus, so the actual spacecraft, for the mission that's called Psyche, which is going to explore Psyche, a huge asteroid in the asteroid belt, which is believed to be fully made out of metal, and they think it might have been a planet that almost came to be. So it will give us a lot of insight about how our planet, who also has a metal core, is formed. And the last bit is actually very, very exciting to me. We track atmospheric pollution with the hosted payload. It's an instrument built by NASA called Tempo, and it's hosted by one of our commercial satellites. So our commercial customer said, sure, put this on our satellite so we can do science while we provide telecommunication. And basically everybody's happy. It's a win-win. We want to understand and connect life on Earth. And so that's our services. So we deliver broadband connectivity, high power communication satellites is what we have. You can see here in the image one of the satellites that we're working. It's going to be massive. We have lots of these really, really, really high power communications to make sure that people can be heard, people can communicate and be connected. And next, other than that, of course, which I talked about a lot, the Earth observation satellites. So we can get unprecedented visibility into our changing planet. But we want to reach further into space. We have ambitious goals to be at the forefront of further space exploration. And so far, we've been doing this successfully with robotic arms. The robotic arms that we've been built is currently on the recently landed Perseverance rover built at NASA. But we also have a robotic arm. It's Curiosity, which landed before, and Spirit, which landed before that, and Opportunity, which landed before that. So we've been building robotic arms for quite a while, and we want to extend satellite lifespans with on-orbit assembly and service. This shows up a lot here. We're really, really, really excited about this. It's a huge opportunity to be able to take some of the spacecraft that we have that last for a long time, just run out of fuel eventually, and be able to give them more life. Keep running them. There's no need to build a new satellite when you can use the ones that already exist. So lots of exciting stuff there. Now we go to Earth intelligence. So this is where my knowledge is a little rusty, but basically we are an industry pioneer and innovator in Earth intelligence, and we combine multi-source and satellite data to derive products and analytics about our planet. We enable commercial businesses and even the government to monitor and understand and navigate our world in new ways and on a global scale. So our unique approach combines decades of deep space mission understanding and proven foundation of commercial technology. So here, as you can see, again, 3.8 million square kilometers taken each day, so one Australia. We have over 125 petabytes of data available in our archive. And just as a reminder, peta, I believe, comes after tera. So it's 125 million terabytes of data. And we have about a 20-year history of images, which can be used to track the global change in high resolution. So these are the satellites that we use for Earth observation. You can see on the left the retired satellites, but we still have the imagery available. And then in the center, the 4 that are still providing images to us. And then in the future, in production right now, Warp Legion, which is going to be launching this year and going to provide even more awesome images. So let's talk about them, the next generation of satellite imaging. So we own and operate the most sophisticated Earth imaging constellation in orbit, but with Warp Legion, we're going to add even more capacity over high interest areas from sun up to sundown. It's the next evolution in satellite technology, and they will usher in a new era of space intelligence. The first block of the World Legion fleet is supposed to launch this year, and they will dramatically expand our capacity for high interest areas. And you can see, so we'll be able to enable up to 15 revisits per day. So just go over again and again. It will triple our capacity to collect 30 centimeter resolution class imagery, triples our overall capacity. It will be the highest imaging quality uh, that was available, and we'll be able to simultaneously task, image, and downlink with customer ground stations. And it's going to be compatible with global infrastructure across any programs for customers. But our portfolio in Earth Intelligence is not just satellites that take the images, but we're able to provide customers access to the satellites, the geospatial foundation, precision mapping, on-demand intelligence, and some additional services. So let's look a little bit more to those. So for the satellite access, you as a customer would have direct collection requests and access to the world's most advanced commercial imaging satellite constellation. And we have the direct access program, which gives you direct satellite tasking using your ground station, your own ground station, or the rapid access program. So you have virtual control of the constellation with priority tasking, predictable access, and imaging operations through a web-hosted service. Then there is the Geospatial Foundation, which I talked about a lot. What is that? It's highest quality satellite imagery, base maps, and 3D data over any location of the Earth that you can use for whatever you wanted to do to get a better understanding of what we have. We provide the highest quality image satellite available. In terms of our optical imagery, we have native 30 centimeter resolution, and you can derive even 15 centimeters of HD imagery. And here you have a picture of just a intersection in the United States with a car going over. You can see the traffic lights, you can see the signs, you can even see the line for the left-hand turn. It's truly amazing. The base maps that we have for imagery, they're virtually seamless, they're accurate, and they're local. And for our analysis-ready data, we have pre-processed time series stacks of imagery, and they're aligned and produced already at a set standard. And again, subscription access to petabytes of data, right? And it keeps getting more and more and more as we speak. Probably next year, these slides are going to say 150 or something. But we can also see the globe in 3D. So in the center, you have like a 3D surface model based on the images that we've provided. But we can do more on this, and to the left, we can turn this into vector buildings. This is kind of what it looks like on maps. We can have these clutter classes. So it's a top view, cut view, and you can see exactly what the types are. We have on the right of the 3D surface model, we have digital surface model, and we have digital terrain model. So there's a lot of what can be done with the data and what we have already done, and that can be provided to you. But we also do on-demand intelligence. So that's part of our portfolio as well. We have industry-leading technology and data and expertise and solve geospatial challenges. So with Secure Watch, you can get instant access to Maxar satellite images and other geospatial data. And again, 22 years of global images archives, 3 million square kilometers collected every day, 3 million square kilometers every day. You'll have web application, plugins, APIs, so you can explore and analyze whatever you want with that data. And we have worked on seamless integration with GIS and remote sensing applications. So you can import that and do whatever you want with it. And here's some of the things that we have provided. So there's a crow's nest, so you can have maritime monitoring with security capabilities, so you see before you go. A-Wave, you can cut through noise. You want to filter out some things, you can do it. Weather desk, you can stay ahead of any conditions that will impact your production yields, trading, infrastructure, whether or not you should take a jacket to work. And then there's the Sea Star, which will detect, track, and gain actionable insight into our oceans. Lots of things you can do. But we also have precision mapping. So the persistent change monitoring in PCM is my favorite because we can analyze patterns, change patterns that date back to 1986. I was not alive in 1986. Maybe a lot of the people were here. Maybe in the comments, we can see a show of hands who actually was around during that time. So for me, this PCM is basically my entire life. I can see how the world changed during my entire life, which is amazing to me. Then there's the base view, which you can build your foundation with like land classification. So you can just use this and be like, oh, these are trees, this is a forest, this is a city, and then human landscape. Gain critical context with human geography data sets to accelerate any action. So yeah, high precision mapping. And then we offer geospatial services. So this slide is a bit vague because you can have whatever you want, right? So we have geospatial experts, we have machine learning algorithms, and basically anything you want to investigate that you might not have the capabilities, but you know what you want. You can use us. We can use our unique intellectual property to solve your critical problems every day. Okay, so that was a little bit of Maxar. I want to talk about this. I think this will be very exciting for a lot of people. Academic outreach program. Part of the reasons why I'm standing here and able to talk to you is that Maxar, we are very interested to collaborate with students, institutions to drive innovation. Driving innovation means getting you excited, getting you ready for space, potentially join us, potentially join our customers. Keep pushing, keep getting us forward, right? Keep pushing the envelope, making space more exciting and more competitive. We at Max will never stop working to discover the answers to the questions of tomorrow, and we want to build strong relationships with institutions of higher education, and have opportunities to provide real world data and technology that we can give to faculty or anyone else. So here's another pretty picture showing that Max in academia, what are we interested? Career opportunity and development, of course. We want you to get jobs. Ideally, you would get jobs with us, so we're all happy. Strategic teaming opportunities, building relationship with institutions, with other schools to make sure that we have good collaboration. Research and innovation. Research is difficult. Why not do it together? Be able to share what we have, and build strong communities together. Again, Maxar is a US-based company, but we operate globally, and I'd like to see having strong communications or strong community on the global scale. Opportunities at Maxar. We have lots going on, lots of different positions, lots of focus areas, lots of program highlights. Go to the website, check it out, see if there's something that might interest you, see something that inspires you, see something that gives you a thought of like, what do we need to do in space? I implore you to do it. And internships. I have yet to meet an intern at Maxar who is not happy with the time there. You get to work on real world problems. It gives you world experience. It will jumpstart your career. Blah blah blah. It's just a lot of fun. We are a company where we trust our interns, and we give them real responsibility, real tasks, and it pays off because the excitement makes them deliver amazing work, and it's amazing. I love working with interns, so feel free to check it out. And with that, again, explore innovative capabilities that connect Earth and space at maxar.com, and I'd be more than happy to talk a little bit more about Maxar and other things as well. And that's it. That's all I have. We got little connection issues here. Oh, you're welcome. I'm reading the comments in the chats now. Glad you liked it. Technical difficulties. Ah, there we go. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, I think Satik is having some technical issues
Ah,
connecting.
there we go.
So
Hello.
I take over.
Sorry, I
All right, I'm gonna look at some comments. Rashan asked, "Can I get to know whether Maxar chooses their interns for any kind of screening test, or is it free for all?" Um, oh, perfect, cool. So you go and apply, and there will be an interview process. So I don't know of any minimum requirements. You have to check it out. I'm also not sure about citizenship or residency or whatever, but worth checking out. But there's an application. You can definitely apply, so it's free for all for that. But there's going to be a screening, which is interviews.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for answering that.
Where do you think satellite imaging is going to go in the next 2 years with increasing clear resolution? 2 years might not be a good scale. So what religion's going to launch? So over the next 2 years, we are the leaders. What religion is going to be the leaders in capabilities? But next 20 years, I don't know. We have better resolution. The world is also changing in the spacecraft market for low Earth orbits. So there's going to be a bunch of other constellations that are being built. That are bigger, better, faster. Maybe companies like new space companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin. Maybe they decide, hey, Starlink is great, but instead of doing telecommunication, we do Earth observation as well. So. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the resolution is going to increase or just the availability of data.
Okay. So we have a question. Okay. We have a question. What do you think is quantum computing is going to impact the satellite communication and other technologies?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question because I think about this all the time, and I'm also never even sure if I understand quantum computing. Um, it My understanding is that quantum computing could be used for data encryption. So it might be useful for that you can have high rate data that is being sent that is very encrypted and very secure, but that's more of a government application. That's not necessarily a commercial application. Overall, again, the premise of being able to compute a lot really quickly, really, really well, it might be useful for overall, modeling analysis. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think many people have thought about quantum computing and space together, and it's a great question. And I invite you to look more into it and let me know. But I'm not sure.
Okay. Thank you. We have a question about what do you think are the major challenges in designing space systems?
Yeah, the major challenges. Right now, actually, it's supply chain. So right now, in the year 2022, because of COVID-19, we actually struggle to get our parts on time and get enough parts. But in general, being able to communicate with other subsystems is difficult because there's just a lot to do. Spacecraft is really, really complicated. There's lots of things, bits and pieces. Uh, Makes it tough to work on sometimes. And the other thing is the environment. I can build a car that is supposed to last on Earth, but space is such a unique and harsh environment. The radiation, you have to protect yourself. It is very, very cold, and yet when you stare at the sun, it gets really, really warm. So you have to, deal with the external heat coming in, yet with the low temperature. You need to stay power positive, so the idea that you always have enough power and electricity because I can't just plug it in. Um, your weightlessness or low gravity. There's a lot of environmental concerns that we don't usually think about, and you always have to think about them every single time.
Yeah, thank you for that. And do you think like there are any specific challenges based on the systems, like the robotic systems or satellite systems? Are there specific challenges regarding those?
Well, one challenge I think is always innovation. There's lots of small problems coming underway, and we need to be able to address them. We need to be willing to do so. I think space, especially in the United States, has this stigma of falling back to heritage, things that have been done before because they work. We will not get forward if we just keep doing the same thing we do over and over again. So I think I guess that's a challenge in systems, in space systems in general, being able to push for new technologies while demonstrating to everyone they can work and they will work, and that's what we should try to.
Yeah, definitely. Great answer. Uh, okay, one more question is like you are a subsystems engineer and also you have experience in systems engineering. So, how would you explain systems engineering to a young space enthusiast?
Systems engineering is making sure that everybody gets to say what they want to say, everybody gets heard, and then together we choose what is best. That's really what it is. It's a lot of decision making. It's a lot of sitting together and talking to each other. Sure, the things that I talk about are like, you know, technologically based, right? F equals ma, insane control laws, this and that. But at the end of the day, it's you have all these people come together with, different backgrounds, academically, culturally, etc. You need to make sure everybody's heard and that we capture everything and follow the right path. There's no right answer in engineering, but when you come together, there is indeed a best solution that you need to work on. You need to make sure that everybody is able to contribute to this, so that we have the most inputs and we can come out of it with the best output that also everybody agrees on.
Yeah, definitely. That's very yeah, insightful response. Like, of course, there's a lot of trade-off involved, and you try to come up with the most optimal solution.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a question: are the Orbital Insights company your competitors?
I don't know Orbital Insights. I'm gonna Google them real fast. Probably. We have a lot of competitors. Anyone who builds satellites is a competitor. Anyone who takes pictures of Earth is a competitor. Anyone who analyzes pictures of Earth, that could be even our pictures, is a competitor. We are not too worried about competitors because we want to be number one or number two in every single field that we work on. So any competitor that brings us to be number two gives us a reason to be number one again, right? So that's the idea how innovation gets pushed forward. So yeah, it looks like they are. They're also in Palo Alto, right next to where I'm sitting, geospatial analytics company, and they use satellite, drone, balloon, other images. Yeah, they are a competitor. And considering the fact that they are in Palo Alto, they might have even been ex Maxar actually. Anyways, so yes, they're a competitor. Quick question, but the more the merrier, I like to say.
And I also saw on your map you have Maxar offices in India as well. So
I think those are customer offices. I'm not sure. I wanted to look that up because I was also very excited by that. I don't know. I don't know. But go to the website, go to careers, see what pops up in India. I think there's lots of
yeah,
opportunities there. That would be exciting.
yeah. So all the viewers do go and check out the India offices if you're interested to join Maxar. Yeah, thank you, Thomas, for that.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
okay, we have another question is like, what do you need to keep in mind while designing any subsystem, and what is your favorite subsystem?
Okay, favorite subsystem, easily attitude control system, since I work on that now. I knew nothing about attitude control when I started coming in. So if you remember when we started working, I knew some fluids, some thermal stuff. I don't even know what a control loop was, but now I really got into it, and it's amazing because everybody relies on it. Everybody is like, oh, well, where are we right now? Where are we supposed to go? But what should we keep in mind when designing any subsystem? Honestly, everything. And that's what makes it exciting and difficult. So when I design my attitude control subsystem, I need to keep in mind thermal considerations, and I need to talk to them. I need to keep in mind power. I need to keep in mind mass, so that's like overall systems. I need to keep in mind I have a lot of components in the attitude control. I need to stay in touch with the configuration guys, figure out where I can put it, where I'm allowed to put it, structures too, to make sure it's not too heavy and everything. Everything. You got to keep everything in mind, and it makes it hard. It makes it difficult, and that's why it's good to like write lists and this and that. So I think keeping in mind that you have to keep everything in mind is like the thing you should keep in mind, so that you always double check and always remember. Chances are you've missed something. Chances are you need to talk to someone just to make sure that you have really everything that you need to capture.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. And when there's scientific objectives included in a mission, how challenging does it become, do you think?
It becomes difficult in many aspects because the scientists speak a different language than the engineers. So sometimes they just, if I presented what I presented, they're like, oh yeah, we can do 15 centimeters HD. I want this on Mars too. And it's like, look, we're doing this on Earth with Earth satellites. It's very controlled. We can't just put it on Mars. And like, but you said you can. So the scientist engineer communication is very, very difficult and very interesting sometimes. That's a challenge. But sometimes um, the scientists or scientific instruments really push the forefront, and they do sometimes things that really have never done before. So it goes back to thinking of stuff they haven't thought of before. Like if you were to look at a magnetometer, all of a sudden you have to worry about the magnetic field of your whole spacecraft, see what that looks like. Who knows? It's really difficult to model. Some things they do is it's called a swing test. You take the entire spacecraft and you swing it, and you have like a lot of magnetometers everywhere to figure out what the magnetic like moment of your spacecraft is. It's really difficult to be done. And again, a magnetometer is an instrument that everybody knows. So other scientific pursuits might have something even more exciting, more crazy. So it's hard, but again, the hard part is the exciting part. That's why I'm into space.
That is true. You do it because it's hard,
Yeah.
not because it's
Yes.
easy. Yeah, definitely. Okay, we have a question, a very interesting one. So, which space mission amazes you or inspires you the most?
That's easy. Voyager. The Voyager missions, Voyager 1 and 2, first spacecraft that has left our solar system, we believe, has taken pictures of everything. It still goes strong. It's just amazing. And it's also amazing even in the history because NASA said, oh no, you can only do like, a few planets and keep going. And the NASA engineers were like, well, I could use this part that will meet mission requirements, or I just spent a little bit more money and I know it's going to last even longer. And that's what they did. Like, not telling anyone, they just over engineered this and built the best thing ever. And that's why it's still going strong for like 45 years. It's just amazing. I love the Voyager.
Yeah, definitely. But I saw recently that they are closing down Voyager. So, yeah.
Yeah, the power element. So it's a radioactive power element. The RTGs. It's depleted its half life, so there's just less power that's coming out. So now they have to cut down on instruments.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's a good way to go. Out of all
Yeah.
the ways, this is a good way to go.
Definitely. Okay, we have a question in the chat from the audience. Will there be new subjects or concepts that will replace systems engineering, or it will remain evergreen?
I love that because it's like direct threat to my job. And honestly, I think system engineering can be replaced because I believe again it's a lot of communication, and it's based on knowledge that we have, engineering knowledge, so that's in textbooks, or heritage knowledge on design documents. I do believe that there could be a possibility for machine learning for algorithms that are doing the systems engineering themselves. You just throw it into the machine and it comes up with a design, because a computer is much more capable than me to keep track of 16 subsystems based on 30 years of history in the company, and et cetera, et cetera. So I would love to see me actually being replaced, because I think if I get replaced as an engineer, then I could work on other things, and we can make systems engineering as trivial as doing calculations on MATLAB. If you look back 150 years ago, how difficult it was to do simple mathematical calculations, or actually not simple, they're complex. But for us, it's easy now. I can use a computer. So um, yeah, I think there will be things that will replace us, and I really hope so, because that means there's going to be more exciting things that we could all be doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. And as a follow up, there's also something called the model based systems engineering, right?
That's right.
So, how is it different from the traditional systems engineering that's followed?
So I haven't had too much experience with model-based systems engineering, or I want to get in, but my understanding is that you build your system based on like models that you have, where you have like different modules, put it together, and just see how they interact with each other, so that you don't necessarily start from like small requirements, but you see like you look at different models. Um, Also, perfect candidate for someone else to be doing this, and someone else, being the machine.
Right, right. That was very interesting question. Thank you, Saurav. Okay, we are almost nearing the end for the session, so we'll have some general questions for you. So, what are your advice for the participants of the Space Science Challenge? What do you think they should keep in mind?
Have fun. Just that's the best way to learn. Just have fun. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't get too stressed out. Just have fun.
Right, and learn in the process.
That's right.
True. Yeah, I think it's a very similar challenge to our Caltech Space Challenge.
It sounds just like it. Yeah.
Although we had like 5 days across a big mission, but
Yeah.
so yeah, we have a question like, how can a space enthusiast from a non-engineering background begin their journey in the field of space robotics or space systems?
So I think just start. Just check it out. When I was in high school, I was part of a robotics team, and that's how I really started getting into space, or realized I want to do engineering. And we had a lot of team members who didn't really take a lot of science classes, who just wanted to see what it's all about. So check it out. You learn as you go. Maybe you don't need the science background to do really well in robotics. Creative minds are not just limited to education in STEM. You can always learn as you go. Just don't be afraid. Just check it out. You will realize that you'll like it, or sometimes even better, you'll realize you don't like it, right? And you don't want to waste years of training in school, study robotic engineering to realize, you know what, this is kind of lame. I'd much rather be playing with water, like fluid systems or whatever. So go check it out. If there's an opportunity, always like try to sit in a class, always try to talk to people. With YouTube, oh my gosh, everything's available, right? Maybe even get some Legos and put things together. Just see it, just do it. If you have friends, do it together. Just check it out. There's nothing stopping you from doing it.
Yeah, that's a very inspiring thing to say. Check it out, and yeah, try everything, because there's so many options and opportunities out there now.
That's right.
Okay, we have one last question. So, which book or a movie inspires you to pursue your dreams, and you would recommend others to read?
So one of the books that has really inspired me. Oh yeah, so inspiring to pursue my dreams, or I recommend for reading for inspiration, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. It's space-based. It's a science fiction book, and it's a funny book. It's comedic, but it's really inspired me, because it talks about all these other worlds, all these other different planets and cultures that he like made up, and it doesn't go too much on technology, but it always kept me wondering, like, wow, that's so cool, that's so exciting. What would that look like? How could we get there, and so on and so forth. Another one for inspiration in terms of science, The Martian by what's his name?
Andy Weir.
Thank you. Yes, amazing book. He has done a lot of research, so it's pretty technically accurate. That's a fun one to read too. But for me, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is great, because you will get out a few laughs too. So it's just a fantastic book.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The Martian is definitely one of my favorites as well. So okay, Sarah was asking uh, if you would recommend some courses or documentary to learn or be inspired for space.
Yeah, courses. There was a course that I took, like an open courseware, MIT courseware. It was about human space exploration. It was hosted by a former astronaut who was from Sweden, so a former ESA astronaut, and it was like six
Yeah,
weeks.
Jeff Hoffman, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So he was talking about what it's like to be in space, what it's like to be humans in space, and the one that stuck with me the most, the impact of space on the human body. So that was great. It was really inspiring. Like, oh my God, there's so many things in space that we haven't figured out yet. Ultimately, we realized maybe I don't want to become an astronaut. So that one's really cool. For documentaries, um, I'm not sure. I believe there are a lot of documentaries about the American space age during the
Hmm.
the Cold War, how the Americans were like trying to rush beating the Russians to go on Mars or go on the moon, everything. There should be some good ones there that are at least like science based. I'm not sure if they're true inspiring, because the reason why they all did space there was to win a war. So that's my personal opinion. Not the most inspiring thing, but there's a documentary that I love. It's space. It's not space related at all, but science related, and it's called The Theory of Chaos. And I think it was like on BBC 4 a long time ago. You can just Google like Theory of Chaos. It just talks about chaos theory and randomness in the universe and patterns and so on and so forth. Inspires me. Has nothing to do with space. Huge inspiration.
I think that's the beauty of people in space. Like we are always so passionate about everything space. Even we are working all day in space, and after work and before work, we are talking about space and
That's right.
reading books and watching movies about space. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's true for everyone. Yeah, I think we don't have any other questions from the audience. But yes, thank you so much, Thomas, for your time and for becoming the judge for the space science uh, challenge. And yes, we have quite a number of teams who have applied for it, and we are really looking forward to the grand finale in August. So I ask everyone in the audience as well to join us for the subsequent live sessions with the other judges that we have in the next weeks, and also for the finals that we are planning to broadcast live. So, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. And thank you, Thomas, for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening in. And good luck. Have fun out there.
Thank you.